welcome to episode 5 of the Midnight Ramblers. I'm your host, Natalie.
I'm Mac.
Justin.
And we are the Midnight Ramblers, here to ramble in front of our fellow Ramblers. So,
yeah. You saying episode 5 is so crazy. I didn't realize you're on episode 5.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Look at how many episodes we've done. It's like
5 whole episodes.
It's almost like 100, just like 95 less. Maya's getting over a cold. So
yeah, so if I sound, scratchy.
Yeah, she might sound scratchy, a little congested, and she might be clearing her throat a little bit, but we're going to do our best to sound that out a little bit. But yeah, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Not ready for this weekend to be over, but
I know.
Oh, I totally agree.
We are recording on a Sunday night.
We all have work tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the weekend's over. I felt like it went by so fast.
It really did.
And, we've been
Getting
doing errands,
Yeah.
House hunting, grocery shopping, cooking, cleaning. So I feel like half of our weekend was taken away. But
it really was.
I know.
Wow. Today's episode's theme is family. And there's nothing more important than family. Yes.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's really true.
And it's involved in everyone's lives, whether we want to admit it or not. You have your related family and you have your chosen family. So we've got some great stories today. They are all crazy Reddit stories. I'm very excited. I found some good ones, and I know Justin as well found some good ones.
Yes, let's do it. I love
Reddit
stories. I love family drama on Reddit.
Yeah, so let's just dive in. I'm going to read the first one right off the bat. This was posted on r/am I the asshole by user SquarePoint4234. This is 4 months ago. The title is, Am I the asshole for calling my husband unreasonable for canceling the holiday trip just because me and the kids couldn't help him in an emergency? What's your first reactions?
Calling my husband unreasonable for canceling a holiday trip. Right now, I feel like I'm going to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think just because, I don't know what the emergency is,
right.
But if they were available to help at that time, and maybe the consequence was like less money or less time, then I think that, but again, I don't know what this emergency was, and I don't know if it had any bearing on the...
Just for funsies. Justin?
it completely depends on the
just for
emergencies.
funsies.
I'll just say that he's the asshole.
Okay, cool. Am I the asshole for calling my husband unreasonable for canceling the holiday trip just because me and the kids couldn't help him in an emergency? My husband and I have been together for 4 years. I have 2 kids, 17 male and 19 female, and their half-brother is 3 years old. This past week, my husband had an emergency. His dad had a medical emergency and wanted someone to watch our son. He asked my older son, and he refused because he was going out with friends. He also asked my daughter, but she locked herself in her room to study. I was at a restaurant with my brother meeting his girlfriend for the first time. My husband ended up taking our son with him to the hospital, and his mom watched him from there. He came home and was lashing out on everybody, calling us selfish and unfeeling. I tried to explain that the kids were busy, but he told me to get the F out with that bull because my older son could have skipped the hangout and watched his brother, and my daughter could have watched her brother while studying instead of locking herself in her room. He scolded me as well, but I told him I couldn't leave lunch with my brother since he was visiting town, and this was my only chance to meet his girlfriend. He yelled some more, then told us that he was canceling the family holiday trip for Christmas this year. The 2 older kids were upset and said it was unfair. I called him unreasonable to cancel this trip and punish the kids, and possibly me, like that. He refused to discuss it later. Now, me and the kids aren't speaking to him, and he's saying, good riddance. Edit. My husband was supposed to watch our son at the time. That's why I went to see my brother at the restaurant. The kids aren't used to watching their brother when neither parent is home. Update. Do you guys want the update now?
No, I want to...
Okay, let's discuss. Okay, let's discuss now. So is she the asshole?
Well, I want to know what the medical emergency was.
The medical emergency was that his dad had a medical emergency.
I know,
Like,
but we
there's
want to
a-
know what it is, though.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's very... There's a whole spectrum of medical emergencies. Like a heart attack? Or was it like a...
It was big enough for him to go to the hospital.
What I don't appreciate is her saying, like, you know, as a side note, you know, my husband was supposed to be watching the kids, which is why I had these plans, and my kids aren't used to watching the little, you know. And I'm like, that's what an emergency is. It's like it doesn't matter what was supposed to happen in the first place. Life happens, and especially when it's an emergency. I mean, you can't just be like, oh my God, like, you're in a car crash. I made a reservation at this restaurant. I can't miss it. I'm so sorry.
You were supposed to be on your way to work right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I don't appreciate that note as if it's supposed to change anything. To me, honestly, a big part of it sounds like, I mean, so those kids are hers and not his biologically. Is that what I'm hearing? Their half brother, the 3-year-old, is the son of both of them. Like the biological son of both of them?
It sounds like the 2 kids, the 17 and 19, are hers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then
So, I don't know. A big part of it to me sounds like a parenting thing, and kind of like, you know, mother, like,
yeah.
children, I guess. And another thing might be the fact that her 2 other children are like close in age, but I just feel like that's a responsibility kind of thing that as you get older, you kind of like learn from your parents, like, oh, can you watch your little brother? Can you watch your little sister?
Yeah.
The fact too that like the older sister, she's going to be at home studying. Why can't she just be?
Yeah, that
like,
was
I don't
so
understand
weird.
that. And the brother needing to hang out with friends when his dad has an emergency, that's so inconsiderate. Like, what the hell is that? I don't know. I don't appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, she's the asshole. That's
Okay. That's a good response. Justin?
I think the family's the asshole for sure. Also, how old were the kids? Wasn't it like 16 and 17?
17 and 19.
17 and 19?
Yeah.
They should know how to take care of a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not full time, I guess not, but you should at least know how to watch your little brother.
I mean, this kid is 3 years old, so he's not a baby, which can maybe be a little more daunting.
I mean, if anything, like, I babysat for a 2-year-old, and definitely you try not to do it, but you can literally sit them down in front of a TV and they'll just sit there and watch it. The sister who was studying at the least could just have done that and studied like in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like,
that to me doesn't make any sense, that she's in the house and she refuses to watch him because she locked herself in her room to study.
Yeah, what is that?
It makes me wonder what their relationship is like with their stepdad.
That's what I was thinking. Because I was like, now that they're all icing him out, I was like, you're icing him out when he's going through this thing with his dad?
Yeah.
Like, put all that aside. Something happened with his dad. We don't know what it is. And maybe she didn't mention it because she knew that she would come out as the asshole if it was something super serious. But that's not okay.
Yes, I agree. Any more thoughts, Justin?
Obviously, I think they're the asshole, and I don't understand why none of them had any consideration for him whatsoever.
Yeah.
And if he's the one paying for the trip and he wants to take it back, that's an absolutely valid response to the fact that they're not speaking with him.
Yeah.
Would you pay for a vacation for a bunch of people who won't even talk to you or help you out in a time when you're struggling?
Yeah, because they're not speaking to him because he canceled the trip.
Yeah.
But you're so right. Like, who wants to go on a family trip with people who weren't there for you? Like, that's not family.
Like, you matter to me, but only when you pay for fancy trips.
Like, every little thing that the kids are going to be doing on that trip is only going to bother him even more.
Yeah. It's not going to be fun for him because he's obviously going through stuff, and all he'll be thinking about is the fact that these people were not there for him.
Yeah. As well as what's going on with his father going through medical emergency, probably in recovery.
Yeah. So what's this update?
Okay. Update. My husband just told us that he'll be spending Christmas. I just
Christmas.
sounded like little Grinch.
Christmas.
Christmas.
Oh, you sounded just like him right there. That was so good.
I love Christmas.
Dude, how are you doing this?
What's that one lady's name? Oh, Martha.
Martha.
It's Christmas.
Dude, how are you doing this? It sounds just like him. Okay, everybody, like literally whoever's listening to this, somebody look up on YouTube Baby Grinch in the live action Grinch movie, and she sounded just like him. If you do not remember, it's so perfect.
Okay. Update. My husband just told us that he'll be spending Christmas with his family, saying he needs to be around his dad anyway. The kids said they will just go to their dad since they and my husband are still not talking. Neither of the kids are happy with how things turned out. So I feel like things have gotten out of hand and the problem got bigger. He's now choosing to basically abandon us on Christmas and also keep our son away from me and his siblings.
I'm sorry. Nobody wanted to be near him.
I know. I know.
So ridiculous.
I know.
Like, what in the world? They didn't care about the grandfather enough to, make sure that everything was okay so that, the husband could go and visit the father.
Yeah.
No, they are the collective assholes.
Yeah.
For sure.
They certainly take him for granted and the things that he does.
Yeah. I think what might possibly be happening here is the fact that they still kind of see themselves as like their mom's kids, and maybe like the parents parent that way, and so maybe they don't really see him as a parent.
I think that's spot on.
Yeah.
Because that is you're totally right. Like the fact that he, the dad feels like he can do that, which, he should feel like he can go do that if he's being ostracized like this. But yeah, I feel like the way the wording is, it does sound like that. Like it's separate.
And as much as I want to say like it could definitely be that way with the kids, the mom is acting this way as well. So it does also sound like what you said earlier, Maya, like mother like children, like it does kind of sound like a similar trait of selfishness. So I feel like there's probably a lot more going on here.
And are there any comments on this too? Like, what was the overall vote?
The overall vote was asshole.
Good. Seriously.
So the top comment from alarming_reply_6287 says, "You're the asshole. Let me fix the title of your post. My husband canceled our holiday trip because my kids and I are unreasonable, and he just found out that we couldn't care less about him or his family."
Yeah.
Then they say, edit. Seriously, OP, stop adding edits. You are so far away from being helpful to anyone, including yourself in this situation. Just stop. It appears you and your older kids will be getting consequences this year for Christmas. I agree. Some of these people just dig their graves deeper.
That is these people are so direct, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I love the suggestion for changing the title.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we kind of milked this one as much as it can get.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I'd like to move on.
Yeah, let's move.
This one is also posted on r/Am I the Asshole?
Oh, good. I love these.
A lot of them today. And this one was posted by user ScaryRub8906. And it says, "Am I the asshole for saying no to picking up my son's half-sister from school?" What does everyone think just right off the bat?
Well, the fact that he or she specifies half makes me think there's going to be something about that in the post. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that the half sister did something.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say.
Okay. Justin?
I'm going to say no because it sounds like it's the half sister. The way that that's specified makes it sound like this person is completely unrelated to OP.
Okay. Cool. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Am I the asshole for saying no to picking up my son's half-sister from school? I am a single mom of 2 boys, ages 11 and 10. Their father and I divorced 5 years ago after I learned he was cheating on me. He got her pregnant either right before he told me, and that's why he confessed, or right after. But our divorce was not an easy one. He wanted to stay friends, and I could not look at him after what he did. He and I were together for over 13 years. Wow. He was also a friend before he was my boyfriend/husband. And to have him betray me like that and treat me as he did was awful. He married his affair partner. They had a daughter within months of our separation, followed by a son after the divorce / their marriage. Last year, they lost a baby, which led to the discovery that his wife had cancer. What followed was a lot of fighting between the two of us again. He wanted me to help him and his wife out. He said their children...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. He said their children, who are currently 5 and 3, needed family beyond just him and his wife. His own family disowned him for our divorce. They were extremely religious. And she has no family. I told him it would be over my dead body that I would help him. He argued that it was for the children, and if not for his kids with her, then for our boys who could see their family heal and be one.
That is so not okay.
Yeah.
Not to manipulate her like
Yeah.
that. Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
I told him he stopped any chance of that happening when he cheated on me. What I did not expect was for him to tell his daughter's school to call me when she got sick. He was at work at the time and couldn't leave apparently because he had already missed a lot of work due to his wife, and she was home recovering from chemo. I got the call, was asked if I would pick her up, and I said no. Several hours later, I got reamed on the phone by him for leaving his sick child at school when I knew they had nobody. This is when he told me how he couldn't leave and how his wife was resting. I told him that the babysitter for his son should have been called over before me. He told me he was in daycare and I should be... He told me he was in daycare and I should be fucking ashamed because she was a sick child who was going through a lot and I could have helped. He told me he hoped our sons were going to be fucking ashamed of me. They aren't. And I argued back with him over the phone at the time. But I guess part of me does feel bad for the child. My sons also sensed an atmosphere while they were with their dad after the incident when they talked about me, and I hate that for them. Yeah, so am I the asshole?
Sorry, I'm just going to say one thing about the end. I'll let Hanson speak first on this one. But that is so true because, like, it's like the dad's kind of making it seem like she's the one putting the sons in the middle and, like, not doing what's best for them.
Right.
But by him, like, pushing this agenda where she has said no, like, no means no. And you're the one who did something wrong, so you need to respect her boundaries. Mm-hmm. And, like, maybe she wouldn't, fight or talk bad about you in front of, your kids so much or whatever. If you just, like, let it go. Yeah. Like, if you just, like, let her go.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to speak first on this one. Somebody else go.
I'm not going to speak first on this one after I said my first statement, but I'm just kidding. But it seems like he's fucking delusional. Like, no part of it makes sense. After you cheat on somebody, why would you ever expect somebody who bears no relation to take care of your kids?
Yeah.
Not only is it a completely separate family unit, it is the family unit that was birthed from the destruction of her family unit.
Yeah.
That's so true.
It's like if you stab somebody in the back and then you ask them to wash the knife for you because you got it all dirty and now you need some help. The dishes are just piling up.
That is such a good analogy.
That's really good.
It's completely ridiculous. And I'm glad that the boys understand that she is not responsible for taking care of the children that did not come from her.
Mm-hmm. And they're just 10 and 11, right? Mm-hmm. That's so young. It's not okay for him to be, like, trying to manipulate her, which, like, kind of forces her to, make these decisions, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
I also think, too, like, him saying, that they need more family besides just, like, their one family unit because his family disowned him and then his wife doesn't have family.
Sounds like they got issues.
It also kind of sounds like, yeah, that's why, when you have something like, I mean, don't stay in it if you're going to be unhappy and you're leading her on for the, her entire life. But when you have something, like, acknowledge what you have and be thankful for all the things that you like, recognize what you have.
Yeah.
And also, it kind of sounds like who wants the other side of the family to be someone who, like, does not want any part of you in
Yeah.
your life. Like, that doesn't even seem like healthy. It kind of just sounds like a guilt thing that he's going through to want to keep her,
Yeah.
you know, continue some kind of relationship with her.
Just so that he can get what he wants out of her.
Yeah. And I also think like the babysitter thing was a good idea, but also you haven't made any friends. Like,
Yeah.
you don't, okay, I understand if you know, feel like you need, like, why don't you guys join like some kind of like parent group where you can like make close family friend, like you don't have any family friends that you've made from your kid's school.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one else besides your ex-wife who you cheated on. Like, really?
I can tell just by these interactions. Of course not. You think they
Yeah.
would have friends? The way that they treat the people who are closest to them?
It's
horribly?
interesting for sure.
Cheating on a relationship of 13 years, then trying to pressure that person to do things for them. Mm-hmm. I can easily see no friends.
Yeah.
No friends.
Yeah. And I think another thing to point out is that like you cheated, you betrayed your partner, you made a conscious decision to let go of the family that you created. So you don't get to pick and choose when that family should be a family anymore.
Also,
Yeah.
like, he's like, oh, my life is so difficult, you know, I need help from you. But she's also a single mom,
Yeah.
which is difficult in its own right.
For sure.
And I'm sure that she's contributing to taking care of the 2 boys. Do you think she wants to add 2 more kids, not hers, to her workload?
Yeah.
I'm positive she's got enough to deal with.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those things where it's like, if you give a mouse a cookie, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if you say yes this one time, it's not just going to be this one
Right.
time. Because one of the things that I struggled with when I first read this story was, God, like, I feel so bad for that child. That I feel bad for her because she's just a kid and she's not feeling well. Like, she deserves a better family than the one she has, obviously. But at the end of the day, it's not OP's responsibility. And again, it's just gonna result in her mothering that child.
Right. And like, how dare you, like, you know, gaslight and trying to manipulate, you know, this woman by saying like, do it for the kids, like your sons, like it's about the kids. If it was about the kids, maybe you shouldn't have cheated on your family.
Yeah.
That should have been for the kids. Or, you know, like, how dare you? That's just, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely very manipulative and selfish. It's probably like, even without the cheating, it's probably best that you got away when you did, because he sounds like an asshole either way. And no, I did want to say, like, he put her in a really tough spot, and I think it was really unfair to do that, because a lot of times, like, people can only become assholes because someone put them in that position. And do I love the fact that that kid had to stay at school when she was sick?
Right.
No. And does it feel kind of weird to like have OP take no, like, not no responsibility, but like, I don't know, it feels kind of weird to be like, no, you should just let the kid be there because it's a child and it's not their fault.
Yeah.
So while I think OP is completely innocent, it's one of those things where like, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that would be like, you have some responsibility as an adult.
Yeah, but I don't think so. Like, say tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. somebody calls you and says, hey, there's a sick kid at school. Can you come pick them up and then take them to their parents?
Not a sick kid. Like,
But in reality, this kid has no connection to OP. There's no responsibility that falls on OP. To OP, it's just a kid. It's just a
it's
kid.
her son's sister.
I wouldn't overthink it like that.
I mean, I don't think it's overthinking. It's just the truth. Because it's different from like, you get a call from like a random person at school you've never heard of before. But it's one thing if it's like you hear like a call from like your son's friend's friend at school. And you're like, I mean, I know them. I know their parents. I could pick them up, but they're not my kid. Why should I have to do that?
And I think what's hard about that distinction too is the fact that it is her son's sister, and her beef is with the dad.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say no because it's going to make it seem like she has beef with the sibling.
Yeah.
And she does, you know, what parent wants their children to not get along. Like, and I'm sure she wants her son to have a good relationship with his sister. I would hope, you know, whether or not it's the result of, you know, an affair, but that's where the tight situation comes in that he put her in. It's like, it's going to look bad, and it's going to look like, you know, she's splitting up these siblings, or she's like making it more contentious, but in reality, it's about the dad and the boundaries that he's not like respecting.
Right. Like, he put her in a situation to have to ask, am I the asshole?
Right.
And that's,
yes, that's such a good way to put it.
Because there's always, I'm sure, like, he can tell people this story and people will be on his side because he'll think, like, why wouldn't she just pick them up?
Right.
And again, I'm not trying to say she should have done that. I think that is definitely, like, not her responsibility. But I definitely think there are people out there that could think that she's an asshole, and that's not even her fault. So that's just another asshole thing that he did, was put her in that place.
One thing I do want to kind of want to know is, like, has she said yes to anything, any requests he's had in the past? Because if she's she claims that she's insistent on not wanting a relationship, but it kind of sounds like he feels comfortable enough to call her and have, you know, ream her, and she stays on the phone. Like, she picks up these calls and she, you know, stays on the phone while he's reaming her. It's just like one of those things where I'm like, how close are you guys? Because it kind of sounds like you guys communicate a lot, and which I would expect them to some degree, because he's still the father of her son. But I just kind of want to know, like, you know, has she said yes to some of his requests, which has made him, you know, kind of snowball into unrealistic expectations for their relationship?
I mean, his manipulative behavior and like the things he's asking makes it sound as if he's, I'm not trying to victim blame, but I can't think of putting it in his terms, like she's been a doormat to him almost.
Yeah, and not to victim blame at all. Yeah, but kind of seems like
taking advantage of her kindness.
You know, yes. Okay. Well, good to know.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a good one.
She ain't the asshole.
Yeah.
All right, baby.
You ready for my story?
Yes. So ready.
Okay. So this one's a bit controversial.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go right into it. This was posted to r/am I the asshole by user JJ-84. The title reads, "Am I the asshole for not going to my daughter's wedding?" What are your thoughts?
I have seen so many of these.
Yeah.
And each story is like so unique, and I'm wondering if I've heard this one before. But
I'm going to say no, not the asshole.
I want to say no too, but
With no background, just didn't go to your daughter's wedding? You're not an asshole.
I mean, okay, just face value, the title, yes, you're the asshole.
yeah. But I feel like there's more to it.
Yeah.
But you're trying to prepare yourself for the extra stuff?
Well, just because I think I agree with Natalie. I've heard some of the ones where parents are like, I didn't go to my children's wedding, and I remember most of the stories end up, you know, there's a really big reason. Like, I feel like it takes a big reason for you not to go to your child's wedding.
But there are definitely somewhere I'm conflicted. So let's hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. The wedding was on March 25th, which coincides with my other daughter's birthday.
Oh.
She was born March 25th, 2022, and she was barely 3 months when she passed away.
Oh my gosh. Whoa.
My wife, not my eldest daughter's mother. The eldest daughter is the one that's having the wedding,
I see.
just to clarify. So my wife, not my eldest daughter's mother, has been wanting to celebrate our daughter's life on the date of her birth.
Right. That makes sense.
I also didn't feel it appropriate to leave my wife on this day, since she is still grieving, as am I, and we haven't fully come to terms with things. When my eldest daughter was planning her wedding, I told her I'm doubtful I'd be there if she chose this date. I understand March 25th is significant to her relationship, and that's why she chose it, but it just wasn't feasible for me. I was not even in a good place mentally on that day. It was a day of tears. Obviously, there's a lot of guilt about missing my eldest daughter's special day, but I honestly don't know if what I did was wrong. Her side of the family has been sending me a lot of scathing messages, particularly her mother. Am I the asshole?
Wow.
Now, actually, let's hear your thoughts first, and then I'll say what I was going to say.
Well, I'm going to stick with my guns and say you're not the asshole, because I do believe that a wedding is an insanely important day and your parents should do everything they can to be there. However, I don't think the importance of the date supersedes the death of, his other daughter. I think if he is in a certain place at that point in time, like, he shouldn't be going to a wedding. There was this other story of this woman who wanted this, like, her best friend from her childhood to be a bridesmaid at her wedding, and her bridesmaid or potential bridesmaid said that she couldn't do it, and it was because her daughter had committed suicide, and OP was like still angry.
It's like an anniversary, or
no, like she had just died, and she didn't feel like she was in the right headspace to be in the wedding. And OP was like mad and saying, like, you can't just let go of that for one day. Like,
oh boy,
yeah.
Jeez.
And everyone in the comments obviously was saying, like, you're an asshole. Like, she can't do it. She's not in the right headspace. Like, why would you even want someone there who's not in the right headspace? And I think this is kind of like the same thing. This is an important day. It's one thing if it's like a birthday or an anniversary. I feel like, is it great? No, but I feel like you can hold off on those things for a wedding, depending on, how close you are. And if you're the parent, I feel like I would go if it was my birthday. But a death anniversary of something so tragic, like, how do you even pull yourself together for something like that? I feel like I'm being such an ass right now. I don't know if this is, I don't know. I just feel like people are going to be like, what?
No, I mean, I think it's controversial, right? Because it's a hard one, but I think what you just said is a very solid answer, because, just showing compassion for somebody who's going through a hard time. My question is kind of like, how far ahead in advance was the wedding date set? Because that would be another factor. If before the death of the baby they had already set the date for March 25th, then
wait,
I don't
how
think
old was
he's an asshole. But
The child was 3 months.
Oh, 3 months. Oh,
so
yeah. I do think. Was it recent?
Was what recent?
The child's death.
it was 2022.
It was on the 1 year anniversary of their birthday. They were 3 months.
Oh my gosh! Then then for sure, that's so soon. And anniversaries are like a psychological thing for people. Like, it's like, I don't know the actual statistic or whatever it is, but there's something about how, like, anniversaries significantly affect people's psychologies when they come up again, and that happens to be one. And I agree with Maya. Like, when was this date set?
Because then I'm disappointed. Like, I'm very disappointed in the couple,
right?
If they set the date after, because I mean, I wish I knew what the significance was of this date for them in their relationship.
Like, maybe
is
it's
it just
their anniversary
the date that they started dating, like their that anniversary? Because if that's just move it. My God, like, your dad is going through something, like, change the freaking date, man. But do you have updates? Is that what you were saying?
So I just want to say that the significance of the date is that's the day that they had met each other.
Yeah, no,
it's not important enough.
No.
Now, what I want to say is that if you look at the flair for the post, it's not the asshole. But if you look at the top comment on the post, it's actually, "You're the asshole."
Can you read that?
Yeah, read it.
All right. So it says, "I'm going to go against the grain here and say you're the asshole." And I just want to say that there's a deleted comment just a little bit less. So I'm wondering if that had more steam originally, got removed, and then replaced as the top comment with "You're the asshole" after the flare had popped up, if that makes sense. So
Okay.
I think that's why they're starting here with, "I'm going to go against the grain here and say you're the asshole. I totally understand the need to grieve, but you have a deceased daughter and a living daughter.
Yikes.
You needed to support your living daughter.
Yikes.
Jesus Christ.
She needed you there. I'm sorry if that sounds cold, but this was such a big event, and I'm sure she dreamed of you being a part of it."
Well, then, okay.
And then they throw in an edit here, which is significantly longer than the original comment. But
But they got a lot of.
oh, they probably got a lot of
Yeah.
hate. So it says, "Okay, apparently this was a very divisive comment. I think everyone can agree this is an incredibly shitty situation. Maybe the right answer was everybody sucks here, but the question was directly related to OP going to the wedding or not. Could the daughter have moved the date? Yes, I mentioned in another comment that she has her part in this too. It comes down to what was in OP's control. Go or don't go to the wedding. OP chose not to go. The question was, should I have gone? Which indicates that it wasn't, I literally couldn't function and would not have been able to handle it. Is it possible that the daughter did this to lash out at OP? Maybe. When kids lash out, there's something going on, and as a parent, you try to understand the underlying issue. If it were any other adult, you ignore it and move on. Not with your kid. Does OP have a justifiable reason to not go? Absolutely. I've seen similar situations where someone takes these convictions to the grave, usually with a large dose of regret towards the end. OP said that March 25th wasn't feasible. If he had instead told his daughter that he wouldn't be able to handle it emotionally, would there have been a different response and some understanding? Who knows? Many of you imply that I'm too young to know better or that I've never lost someone close. You don't know me, and I'm sure I'm older than many commenters here, old enough to know a couple of things. The world isn't black and white. There are many shades of gray, especially in a situation like this. And two, as a parent, you do anything for your kids. Many times, this means being the bigger person. I've refrained from commenting up until now since OP indicated that his mind was made up, so there was no point in commenting further. That being said, there are obviously many who agreed with my original post. I suspect they see the nuances that I described.
Okay. First of all, there wasn't any nuance in the first original
there
post.
was no nuance. It was very...
No, some people are arguing like, oh, well, it's actually the birthday, so it's not the anniversary of the death, so it's not as important. People are really nitpicking this.
To me,
it's important. It's
whatever
whatever
the day they choose is important, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
It's
And
whatever day is most
Significant,
traumatic or
yeah.
significant in their own minds. You don't get to determine when their trauma starts.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, if you want someone to attend your wedding, most of the time, especially for somebody who genuinely, heart of hearts, wants to go, like I would assume the father does here, like genuinely wants to go,
Right.
just wasn't a good day that was picked out, you would do what it takes is necessary to make sure that the people that you care about the most can go.
Yeah.
I definitely, as much as I disagree with that poster, I will admit that they did write it pretty articulately, and there was one point that I will agree with, which is that based on what Opie had written, which I'm sure is a lot more detailed in person, but having that conversation with your daughter should have been more like asking like, hey, this is a really important day for me and your stepmom. We're going to be in a horrible headspace and we want to be there to support you. Is there any way like you could pick another date for this wedding? And this should have happened, a a while ago. Obviously, this was last minute. I feel like I feel like then maybe they'd be a little bit of an asshole if they knew that whole time and then just decided like out of the air to pick when they wanted to celebrate this death. Like, but if they found out this was the date and they talked about it and the daughter still went through with it, then I don't think they're the asshole.
Well, that's interesting, because that's where I thought that comment was off, because I was like, he did have a conversation with his daughter.
But it didn't sound good.
It didn't sound good. Okay.
It sounded like he said, if you pick this date, I'm not likely to go. Instead of saying, hey, I want to be there to support you. Like, you're my daughter. I love you. But I need you to understand that this is a really tough time for us. And this date especially is going to be a day we...
And I guess it's kind of hard to tell, like, on his post, like, if he, in his post, you know, he's just writing this out saying, like, you know, I won't, you know, I told her I wouldn't be likely to go.
Hold on.
Like, if he's, you know, saying it, you know, simplistically for the audience, and then in real life he had this conversation with his daughter where he said, like, you know, I don't think I'll be able to go, you know, right. Like, that's not a guarantee because I don't know how I'm going to be feeling that day, you know? Right. So, yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to know what the conversation really was. Yeah. Did OP comment, like respond to anything that said, like, he didn't have these conversations, saying, like, I did have a conversation with her and this is how it went?
Most of the comments that I see just mention this, the significance of the date, really.
Yeah, I really don't think the significant of what? Why can I not talk today?
The
weaponized incompetence.
Weaponized
incompetence. Anyway, sorry. That took way too long.
Okay, so there is one thing here.
Okay.
So, someone commented, I'm sorry for your loss. Info, what kind of relationship do you have with your eldest daughter? And they responded, we are not particularly close. I was never in a relationship with her mother. I was involved when she was quite young, but her mother moved across the country with her then partner and took our daughter with her before she was even 2.
Oh, wow.
Since then, we've never lived close. I'd get some time in the summers and would visit a few times a year. When she was in her early teens, she no longer wanted to come in the summers.
Oh, wow.
So I had little to no time with her. It's not much different now.
Yeah, I'm still gonna stick with my guns. He's not the asshole.
Yeah, agreed.
At least in this particular situation. I don't know what life was like growing up, but...
Another thing, too, where it says, like, that when she went into her teenage years, she wasn't interested in visiting him again. Like, if there's any young people listening, like, think about that. Think about how you're treating your parents.
I just digged a little deeper, and I found that the date was selected after the passing.
Yeah.
And they knew that was the day that they wanted to celebrate the morning.
Well, then it sounds like they deliberately wanted them not to come.
I mean,
or they just, you know, they didn't care enough, like, to move the date, which that's fine. If you're not that close with your dad that you wouldn't move it because you really want him there, then just, you know, just don't expect him to be there.
But
like,
don't
you
make
gotta
him
have those
feel
expectations.
bad.
Yeah. Don't get your whole family to gang up on him and send him nasty messages when he's grieving over his you know, dead daughter.
Especially if it's not that big of a deal to you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that one.
Yeah, that was a good
Justin.
one.
That was fun to talk about.
Yeah, good
the
discussions.
nuances.
we doing some more?
Yes.
My next one's kind of fun. You want to do that one?
What's the title?
Am I the asshole for refusing to honor my boyfriend's family's tradition?
Go for it. There's like one story that I'm thinking about right now that I'm like, this cannot be it. But if it is, oh boy.
I hope not. I hope you haven't heard it before. Okay, so this was posted to r/am I the asshole? Surprise. By user substantial_oracle. I just want you to know that substantial is spelled incorrectly.
Okay.
I guess the original substantial oracle was taken, but the title reads, Am I the asshole for refusing to honor my boyfriend's family's tradition? My boyfriend, Eric, 29 male, fake name, and I, 27 female, have been dating for 3 years. For context, I have met his family and they are very friendly. We don't meet them very often because they live in my boyfriend's home country. I don't want to reveal country names either for privacy reasons, but my boyfriend and I are of different nationalities and we both work in my country. The conflict happened during our last visit last weekend. We have been looking up houses to move in together and engagement rings. While we were having dinner, we mentioned this to his family, as it's a big step in our relationship for us. We are not engaged yet. His parents and brothers expressed their happiness for us. Then, out of nowhere, his youngest sister-in-law asked, "So is she going to take the test?" I asked, "What test?" In summary, boyfriend's family has this tradition where the future mother-in-law tests future daughters-in-law to see if they are good enough for her sons.
Ew.
Apparently, his mother and aunts went through the same test. The tests include how clean they can keep a home,
No.
how well they can cook,
No.
their manners, etc.
Absolutely not.
Basically, life skills most people learn from childhood. I found it ridiculous because, 1, if I'm good enough for my boyfriend, he should be the one deciding it, and 2, I don't fit in their targeted category. In his mom's words, you can't be a good stay-at-home wife and stay-at-home mom if you can't be a good homemaker, and she wants to make sure of that. To be clear, his mom and all 3 of his brother's wives are stay-at-home moms, and although I respect their choice, I am not quitting my career and did not under any circumstances make my boyfriend think I would compromise on that.
To assume this is shit. Go ahead, sorry.
I hate house chores, and I would rather buy homemaking gadgets and hire staff, no matter the cost, than have to do chores myself. I told my boyfriend's mom all of this, and it caused an argument that eventually ruined dinner and, in extension, our visit. Boyfriend doesn't care whether I'm a working wife or a stay-at-home wife, but he thinks I should have just done the test.
No.
Because it's just a test, and it's not like they would reject me if I failed it. He thinks it's a fun tradition that everyone was looking forward to,
No.
and I should have gone along with it anyways. My boyfriend thinks I'm the asshole and suggested I make this post.
Oh, good.
If I really am the asshole, I'm sure you guys will let me know. So am I.
Absolutely not.
No.
Okay, before you say something, can I just say something real quick? Yeah. He thinks that it's not a big deal because he isn't a woman and he doesn't have to be tested, and that's insultingly like
stereotypical.
That's exactly what I was thinking too, because I was thinking like, how would he like it if he had to take a test? But I was like, you know what, if he took a test, it'd probably be something of like his manhood and he'd want to do it. And I was like, that's the thing, is that, you know, his test would, you know, fit into the society that obviously benefits him.
Yeah.
So it would have to be something like, this test includes measuring your penis. This test include, like, I'm just trying to think of
what's
stuff
your
that men
fucking
would.
bench, bro?
Yeah. Her
like
test is
stuff
like,
that would hurt their, you know, their masculinity or, you know, hit their insecurities.
her test is, will you be able to perpetuate the domesticated woman stereotype for future generations?
Yeah.
No.
And it's like, is this a cultural thing or is this a family thing?
Sounds like it's a family thing.
Because they keep saying it's a family tradition, but obviously this family, well, I don't know. Maybe it's a family thing, but based off of cultural expectations.
For sure.
But either way, I mean, I don't know what country they're living in now because they don't say, but they're obviously living in a country where it's acceptable for women to work because that's what she's doing. And his family does not live in this country. So
can I let me just throw in an edit.
Sure.
It says, adding this as it's been coming up, I know disclosing the country may or may not bring up some unwanted arguments that will violate the rules here, but just for context, it's a family tradition, not a national culture.
And there you go. No, then
That's worse.
Then even more so, no. Like,
Yeah.
but anyways, like, you know, that family does not live in, well, it doesn't even matter anymore at this point because it's not a cultural thing. But even if it were a cultural thing, you know, this couple is living in a place where that's not acceptable, where like they have a different cultural view on that being acceptable, and that's offensive. Like, so you know, they have to understand that she can say no to that, you know, and that is so weird. Yeah, if it's not a cultural thing.
So, you want me to read the top comment?
Yeah.
Or do you want to?
Sure. Go ahead.
So the top comment is, first off, they quoted, "He thinks it's a fun tradition."
No.
And the response is, he thinks it's a fun tradition for women marrying into the family to be judged on their skills in traditional old-fashioned gender-conforming roles. Fine. Let him take a test. He can rotate the tires, change the oil, and maybe rework the transmission on a car. Install a new muffler while he's at it. Then he can perform a series of tests of lifting heavy objects. How are his plumbing skills? He's going to need to know how to fix a leaky faucet. Your father and brothers and male friends can judge him on his manliness and decide if he is prepared to be a proper husband. He might also need to prove he makes enough money to support you for when you have to stay home and perform all these wifely duties.
That's a better test than the other stuff. Because that is something that I feel like is more bothersome to men nowadays, is about how like a lot of men are like, well, why do I have to be making all the money and she gets to stay home? Like if they are really thinking in these terms, I think that's a better test. If she has to stay home and take care of everything, then he needs to prove that he can make money to support them both. But again, I don't think these tests are good.
Because here's the thing, is that her tests is based off of stereotypes that she does not fall under, because she does not fall under that stereotype. Because he comes from this family, and I know it's not a cultural thing apparently, but if it were to be a cultural thing, he comes from this family or comes from this culture where those stereotypes are instilled. So he probably falls under a lot of those categories that person's suggesting him take a test in. So he would need to be taking a test on something that, I mean, it's hard because, you know, it would have to be something like opposite, but never mind.
The thing is too, is that like I get the you know, give him a taste of his own medicine type of thing, but it just doesn't work the other way around.
Yeah.
Because again, the patriarchy exists to benefit men. So any type of test that you're giving that's written by men is going to benefit them anyway. A test that you give women that's written by men is going to be a lot more complicated. So all this stuff that they're saying like, oh, fix a car, plumbing, whatever, is like, that doesn't oppress men. The stuff that she's being asked to do, that oppresses women.
Mm-hmm. And then in a different sense, like, men also have the opportunities to learn how to do those things, and they're not judged to do those things. Like women being able to do those things, like they will be judged. Like if the mom were to give her a test on, oh, can you provide for your husband? Can you do this? You know, maybe she would fail that one too, because just, you know, historically it's harder for women to do those things. And so they might not reach the same caliber as a lot of men, because it just takes a lot, you know, women have to work harder to learn those things without, you know, people being like, oh, you know, you don't know anything about cars. Oh, you can't do anything with tools, you know. So
and as somebody who has been, you know, tested on their cleanliness and their manners
Military.
From the military.
Context. I'm not doing this.
I was about to be like, I was like, does Natalie do this? And I was like, oh, that's right. He was in the military.
It's not a fun tradition. It's not fun. No one's having fun.
Yeah. Well,
all right. Just let me know when you're ready for the update.
I'm ready for the update. Give me the update.
Several things have happened since my post, and I received requests for an update, so here it is. This will be my only update. I got a lot of insight from the votes and comments in my original post, and I would like to thank you all for that. I showed my boyfriend the responses and judgment on the original post. Most of you felt I was not the asshole, and like you would guess, he was upset by this judgment. He tried to make his own post, but was the asshole so badly he deleted it in less than an hour.
I need to see this post.
I wish I had seen the post.
Was it written on like nice guys or something? Fucking bullshit.
Anyway, I talked to my family and told them about the test. Yesterday, they called us home for dinner and told him that they would let me take his family's test if he let my dad and male cousins put him through a similar test. He blew up about how ridiculous it is because it's a family tradition for his family.
Oh my God. What is wrong? Dude, do not marry this guy. Do not.
But for mine, it's something we came up with at random. He ended up saying it's okay if I don't do the test, but my parents and I were being childish.
Oh, really? You can't let this go?
That's childish.
Yeah.
He let slip mid-argument that his youngest sister-in-law didn't want to do the test either, but look at her, the perfect wife. He said a lot of things, but long story short, he is still supportive of whatever I want to do with my life after marriage.
I don't know.
But his family will never think the same way. However, I was starting to see a pattern, so I asked to take a break. It was great while it lasted.
Oh.
Huh.
Is that it?
However, she said, it's not a fun or cute update, but there you go. And then crossed out. This whole next sentence is crossed out, but you can still read it. Okay. It says, time for me to binge watch heartbreaking movies with a giant tub of ice cream. That's all crossed out. And it says, once again, thank you for the comments and judgment. And I'll give you the top comment because it's funny.
Okay.
But they quoted, but for mine, it's something we came up with at random. How does he think family traditions start?
I was literally just about to say, I was like, you just say like, well, we're starting a tradition.
Yeah. Like, what? Be like, your family inspired our family
to start this tradition.
Like, I feel like that's a really, I know that's a big fear for me to like, I know you're not like this, hun, but there's always like that fear that the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with has some kind of internalized misogyny. And as much as he's like, yeah, I don't care. He literally just said that sister-in-law who didn't want to take the test but ended up doing it became the perfect wife. He just said perfect wife.
Yeah.
And so deep down, I feel like it's going to be one of those things like he's that guy in that other story we actually read last time who's like, I come from a family with traditional gender roles. And so I told my wife that like a little cleaning's okay, but that she should be the one to do all of it. Like, it sounds like that to me. It sounds like if you were to continue with that relationship, he might think it's okay for you to work, but still maybe expect you to do all that crap.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to be with someone who thought those things about women and just thought that was appropriate in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very heartbreaking.
Yeah. I feel bad for her, but
But kind of, if that's how it was going to be, it's kind of, I guess it's good that she got out now.
Yeah. And I can't believe how childish he was to like, he was the one who asked her to write the post and he gets responses from not only her post, but his own post and still can't handle it.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of guys don't acknowledge how frustrating it is and just how not okay it is that all these stereotypes were pushed on women for so long and they are still there and ingrained in dudes' heads and it's still being pushed.
Yeah.
As if trying to stray away from it, as recent decades have been doing, has been detrimental to society. Because I've seen things like that where it's like, oh, everything went bad with the feminist movement.
Uh-huh.
Like, I've seen stuff like that online, and I'm like, I don't understand.
The nuclear family
How?
home
Yeah.
is falling apart.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not falling apart because feminism. It's falling apart because of the economy being in shambles.
And maybe because, like, women don't really want to be unhappy anymore.
Yeah.
Like, if you feel like everything's falling apart because people are suddenly not doing things for you for free and doing everything you say just because, then I think that's a you problem. And I think you need to be a better person.
Yeah.
But anyways, thanks for that story.
That's a
It
good
was
one.
lovely. Both stories.
Was that the one that you had seen before? Or
No.
is that different?
I thought you were going to talk about the one, and viewers, please, trigger warning. I am going to mention some maybe like sexual assault related things, but there was one story like a year or two ago.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about
yeah.
now.
Where the men of the family traditionally
would check
and basically put their fingers inside the female, the woman fiance, their son's soon to be wife. They would insert their fingers to make sure that she was still a virgin. They would all do it. The father, the uncles, the brothers. And she refused to do it. And they were insanely upset. All the women in their family had done it.
What?
That's so fucked up.
Yeah.
First off, that's not how that works.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
I'm a guy, and I know that's not how that works. How are there women letting these men do that to them and not explaining that that's simply not how it works?
And
how does that happen?
It's such a cult thing, too.
I was just about to say, like, is this, like, are they part of a cult?
Like, I literally...
Or, like, some kind of religion?
When that story was told, I literally envisioned, like, this dark garage with, like, green backlighting and just this table with a black cloth on it, and all of them in these weird robes, like, ready to stick their fingers inside. It's just so nasty. And it definitely seems, like, rapey.
It is rapey.
Like, just, anyways,
whoever
that's a totally
came
different
up with
story.
that first was just a sick fuck.
Yeah, and probably like a pedophile or some shit like that.
That's like an old tradition.
Yeah.
Like, nobody, I mean, I guess people do it still. But who does that anymore?
It's sick as fuck.
My God.
Yeah.
The reason why people stop doing that is because of this.
It's freaking disgusting. Don't like that at all.
My God.
Anyways, I was going to do two more, but let's just stick with one. And I'm going to do one that Justin saw the title earlier and was like,
I forgot. I honestly forgot. I
sure.
just need to push. I'm not kidding you. I told you I'd forget.
Yeah, but then I'm going to say and you're going to be like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what'll happen. I was on YouTube Shorts the other day, and just like, it's so interesting to look at some of the stuff on there, and it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like where all of the
I was like, where's this going?
That's where all of the stuff that's like, oh, women should be cooking and cleaning and offering these things in relationships.
That is so interesting, because I listen to several podcasts, and one of them in particular, it's Reddit on Wiki, who I love, and they're obviously not going to listen to this, but they're awesome. Definitely should watch or listen to. But they are always saying that every platform is always good and supportive except for YouTube. That's where they get all the red pill people, the racists, like all those people. It's so interesting.
Man, I didn't know this tea about YouTube.
Like, YouTube, get on it, please. Okay, anyways, so this post, this should have just been like, am I the asshole today? Because this is also, am I the asshole? So the title says, am I the asshole? I didn't attend my son's wedding. I instead spent the evening with his ex-wife. Just let that sink in for a moment.
Okay.
Hold on, read that one more time.
Oh, shit, hold on. It's posted on r/am I the asshole by user flagging D.
Nice.
Sorry.
Am I the asshole? I didn't attend my son's wedding. I instead spent the evening with his ex-wife.
I'm gonna go with you're the asshole, but also I'm very curious to hear what the son did.
Uh-huh. Maya?
I mean, just based off of the title, you're the asshole.
Okay.
But I think that he's not the asshole because my guess is something like the son had an affair or something. Okay, I don't know. Anyways.
Okay.
He was watching his grandchild.
What?
Sorry, I wasn't at your wedding. I was watching your grandchild with your ex-wife. No, I'm just saying random shit.
Okay. Quick backstory. After graduating high school, my son moved 3 states away for college. At 19, he married a girl he met. I tried convincing him to wait because I personally felt he was too immature. They both dropped out and moved back here to his hometown. At 20, they had their first child, a beautiful little girl. 16 months later, my daughter-in-law gave birth to their second child, a little boy. After the first baby, my wife and I noticed our daughter-in-law wasn't happy. We both thought it was postpartum depression related. Just after the second arrived, my son and his wife separated. She would bring the kids over for a visit. It was then she began unloading on us. I know there's 2 sides to every story, but considering I know my son, I believed her. I sat my son down numerous times to speak with him regarding his marriage. He refused to take responsibility, blamed her for everything, even when I directly pointed out where he was the sole problem. They got into counseling, and for a year, things were okay on the surface. Our daughter-in-law filed for divorce. My son, 3 days later, was on Facebook announcing his new girlfriend. A month later...
I'm sorry. You said 3 days later?
Yeah.
3 days later
After she filed for divorce.
Okay.
A month later, they were engaged. My son had forced his then wife to become a permanent stay-at-home mom at the birth of their first child. So the daughter-in-law, when they first got together, he made her be a stay-at-home mom.
Oh, I see.
She, of course, had no other family or friends here because they moved.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm just trying to clarify all this. My son had forced his then wife to become a stay-at-home mom at the birth of their first child. She, of course, had no other family or friends here. She knew no one aside from us. She had nowhere to go with 2 small children. Unbeknownst to our son, my wife and I helped her financially and got her an apartment. Before the divorce was even finalized, we received a wedding invitation. I made it clear to my son I would not be attending and they would not have my blessing. His mother told him she would see to it that I would attend. I stayed consistent in my decision. I also asked him not to bring his fiance around our house out of respect for the mother of his children. The wedding happened on February 11th. The night before, my wife gave me the final push. I did not attend. Our daughter also did not attend for the same reasons. My wife picked up our grandkids, got them dressed, and attended the wedding. My daughter and I decided to spend the evening with his ex. I couldn't imagine her sitting alone while her kids attended their father's wedding. She was taken aback that I didn't end up attending his wedding. We took her out to distract her mind. I just wanted her to know she'll always be considered family to us. My daughter also made a joke that they can just drop the in-law status and just be sisters now. She was very tearfully grateful. I realized just how badly she needed our support, and specifically on that night. The next morning, my son called to tell me how much of a horrible father I am for not attending his wedding. A few days later, he caught wind that I spent the wedding evening with his ex. He said that was the ultimate form of betrayal. And further, myself and his sister would have to earn a relationship with him on his terms only. And then there's an update, but what are your guys' thoughts?
It's so sad to me. Like, if that was my child, I would be just so sad.
If who was your child?
If that was my son.
Your son.
Like, I don't want to be like, oh, my child's like a disappointment, but like...
But low-key.
Not even low-key. Like, your child's a disappointment, and I don't want to be like, oh, it's your fault. Like, you didn't raise him right. Mm-hmm. But it's like, oh my God, this person is so selfish.
Yeah.
And other things. I will say, spending that very exact day with his ex-wife, not cool. I don't think that was a good idea. But everything else was like completely justified. A wedding that you do not morally support, and you do not attend, makes absolute sense. 100%. Like watching your son make all of those terrible decisions, I'm sure that he's asking himself, where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
He's blaming himself somewhere, and I wonder if the guilt in his mind raising a son to be that way and how it has negatively impacted this woman, the ex-wife. I wonder if it's kind of like trying to overcome that guilt by taking care of her after everything. Also, I just wonder if any part of it is like, oh, definitely want to keep a good relationship with this woman to spend time with my grandchild. The way that the son's acting after all of this is even more interesting. Just like, we're going to have a relationship on my terms after you earn back, like, my trust and my respect. And it doesn't even sound like the dad wants anything to do with that anymore. Like,
he didn't come to your wedding.
Yeah.
He doesn't come to your wedding or like, you're not allowed to see me until you have showed me. And the dad's like,
okay. Interesting. And I don't know. Maybe you could be like, oh, he's an asshole, should have gone to the wedding, support your child no matter what. But also at the same time, it's like, this son is not listening to the father at all. At all. Doesn't want to work on it in therapy. Obviously did some interesting turnaround from ex-wife to new wife. Didn't want to wait out for the first marriage. Didn't want to wait for the second marriage. What are these life decisions?
I think one of the biggest disappointments, I mean, just the fact that the divorce wasn't final, that the wife had just filed for divorce, that he announces that he has a girlfriend, and then to have the wedding right after the divorce, like, just none of it is...
There is no frontal lobe on this son yet.
If, that woman meant anything to you as either, someone that you loved or as the mother of your children, I mean, just...
So it's messed up that he made her a permanent stay-at-home mother. If that's not what she wanted to do, like, obviously there's other options out there. It's not always the easiest.
Right.
But he's treating her just like a stepping stone. Like, oh, I want to have kids, but I want to keep progressing in my life. So if you could just stay at home permanently and I can progress in my career and I can have kids because you're putting in all the effort for that, then wonderful. Everything's great, right? And I wonder if that's part of the reason that they split ways.
Plus, if you're going to force your wife to become a stay-at-home mom, like, that's usually with the acknowledgement that you're going to be the, quote-unquote provider. So the fact that he did that and then, like, left her sounds like he had an affair, and then I think it's, perfectly understandable that his mom and his dad are trying to financially support her because that's not right.
It sounds like he's not taking any... I don't know what the heck happened in that divorce, but it doesn't sound like she's getting alimony or anything if she can't even afford to get a place.
Their divorce isn't even finalized.
Well, it did finalize like the day before the wedding or on the wedding or something like that.
Yeah, but wasn't she moved into the apartment and all that stuff before then?
Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, pretty crazy. I personally, this is just my opinion, I think it was fine for him to spend the evening with his ex-wife.
I think it was okay too.
Like that specific day, the wedding day.
Yeah.
She was going through a hard time, like, and she was family to them, and
if a reason why the dad's not going is because of how he treated that, I mean, then there's no hiding it. That's why. It's not
even like doing it.
Poetic justice.
I guess so.
It's not even doing it to spite him. They're specifically doing it to like keep her company, like on this day, and she can't even have her kids on this day to like distract her. She'll just be alone, thinking she doesn't have any family, and probably no friends because she was forced to be a stay-at-home mom. So all she would be doing is sitting at home thinking about what did I do wrong and he's getting married to someone. He probably cheated on me. Like, so many bad thoughts. I personally think it was fine for the dad to hang out with his son's ex-wife.
Yeah.
And his sister, the ex-husband's sister. That was sweet, I think.
Yeah.
I do have an update.
Oh, okay. Let's go.
Almost forgot. First, I'd like to sincerely thank each and every one of you for your support, encouragement on all the awards. I know without a doubt I did the right thing. I even feel differently now. His mother should not have attended either, but we can't go back and undo that. So, my son saw the post. I had sent my daughter the link yesterday so she could read the comments. This morning she texts me at work, "Dad, you went viral." LOL. But anyways, he sent screenshots of the post and all my comments to his mom. He also told her he's dead to me now. Time will tell if he means that. I'm sure he'll see this.
He's dead to the dad, or the dad's dead to him?
The dad's dead to him.
Yeah. He also told her he's dead to me now.
Oh, I thought he said he also told me. Wait, what? He's dead.
He told his mom.
Yeah, I get it now. Okay.
Time will tell if he means that. I'm sure he'll see this update too. For that reason, I'm positively certain the second he needs another cash loan, I won't be dead anymore. His mom told him, "Your children have to be our number one priority. They're not just some disposable items you can leave behind when one chapter of your life closes. Maybe one day he'll understand this."
I think that's just a good thing to say. I mean, that's another thing. Like, throughout the first marriage and in the beginning of when, everything was starting to go downhill, what were the parents doing? Because were they putting the son as a first priority? Were they trying to give him advice? Were they helping him? Were they trying to be like, did they have a sit-down conversation with him saying like, "Hey, what are these choices you're making, dude?" Like,
wait, like with his marriage and stuff? Because they had conversations about him like getting married, and then
the first one.
Yeah, they were like, "Don't get married so young," and then they got married right away, popped out a baby, and then they noticed that the daughter-in-law was unhappy, and they were like, "Hey, your wife's upset. Like, go get therapy."
Mm-hmm. So perfect, because that's really what I wanted to say. Is like the mom saying that. Like, I hope she also realizes that they did put him first. Like they did so much, and not. I don't want to ever say that you should ever give up on your children,
right?
And sometimes giving up, you have to think of, it's not giving. In some situations it might seem like you're giving. It might seem like you're giving up, but I think like letting go to maybe just show them, maybe it's going to be a lesson that they have to learn on their own.
Right.
There's only so much you can do as a parent, and some lessons can only be learned when you're all by yourself. And this kind of sounds like he's been leaning on them for like guidance, and he's not taking it. And it sounds like at the end of that post that maybe he's been leaning on them financially too.
Right.
So without that, like, he's just got to realize like the world, can't bend for him. So he's got to learn.
I just want to point out that they got married at the worst less than a year
After
knowing each other.
Oh.
At the best, almost 2 years, but it's probably not that long. They got married when they were 19.
Fun fact, marriages have the highest chance of succeeding lifelong if the wedding is 25 months after getting together.
25 months after getting together. Are you saying we're going to get divorced, baby?
I'm not saying we're going to get divorced.
Why
I'm just saying that because you were saying at the best, like,
faith
2...
in us? You don't want to be together with me anymore? Do you want to break up so we can like get back together and be together for 25 months? But it wouldn't have even been over 25. Under 25 months?
Close to 25 months.
At the
best,
best, it might have been close to 24 months. At the best. And I really don't think it's that long. And they had a baby. It's just like they didn't even take the time, I feel like, to get to know each other as well as they should have. And I can see, like, as a parent, he just moved. So he finished high school. They just had him, 18. So that means up until that point, they were responsible for him, for disciplining him, raising him. And so I don't like to put all the responsibility on the parent, because at some point your kid does start to have exterior influences and becomes their own person. But how this guy strays so far from the apple is, even if it's
From
not
the
like,
tree.
It's because of
he is the
YouTube
apple.
Shorts.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, is he a Tate listener type of thing? Because I hear stories about that all the time, where like the nicest guys change once they start listening to this red pill crap. But as a parent, like if I put myself in their shoes, I would feel so responsible for that girl, because it's like their children.
Yeah.
And it's almost as if they did allow this to happen. I'm not saying that they did, like that they, I mean, obviously they allowed it to happen, but that being so close to them, to him being out of their grasp, it would make me feel like I did that. I did that to her.
Right.
And of course he can make his own decisions, but I personally would feel very responsible. So I know that might be how they're feeling, and maybe why they want to, pay these reparations, like apartment and whatnot. Yeah, but God, that'd be so gut wrenching if I ended up raising my son like that.
Yeah.
Just disrespectful, not good with money, horrible father, all kinds of crap. It's crazy.
I think even over all those things, like just not treating other people
Yeah.
right. I get so embarrassed whenever I go to like a restaurant and a family member is treating the staff like,
Yeah.
like horribly. So I can't imagine having, a son or daughter where you see them treating these women or their spouses like they're nothing.
I bet that's probably, now that you're saying that, I bet that's probably like a projection of his, like wanting to spend more time with this ex-wife, because he wants her to know, like, this is not me, like, and just to make himself feel better, like, this is not who I am. He is not a reflection of who I am, which, I mean, who knows though, like how he raised him, like having that weird conversation. Well, whatever.
Maybe he was busy,
Yeah.
Like maybe times were tough and he had to work a lot.
Yeah.
And wasn't around enough to teach important lessons.
That's true.
Missed important moments
Yeah.
that were learning lessons, and sometimes somebody else gets to the learning lesson first and they don't teach the right lesson that you want your kids to learn, and it's tough to miss pivotal moments, and
That's very true. You're very wise.
Must be the beard.
it's the mistakes, really.
So that's our episode.
I love family drama, and I love him at the a-holes.
Yeah. Thank you guys for staying up late to do this.
Yeah, thank you for picking such good stories, some entertaining stories, guys.
Heck yeah.
I'd love to sit here and pass judgment.
Me too. Does anyone else have any last thoughts?
No?
I'm thirsty.
Except to follow us on...
You're
Thank
cute.
you for
I'm
appreciating my joke.
Okay, well, we'll sign off here. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Patreon. And also, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon Music. I think that's it. And yeah, I don't know. Am I forgetting something?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I guess that's it. So thank you for listening to episode 5 on family. We, the three of us, our own little family, and we say hello to all our families out there, and your families, and our families.
Hello.
All right, we're just rambling at this point.
Learn from these mistakes that we have read today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.